Hey everybody, Roman Versus here from Squashfest podcast and my co-host
Everybody's favorite brownie drizzle, the boy
Brownie
Harm.
Drizzle.
The
Okay,
boy Harm.
this is a every episode thing, people.
Every time it's gonna change, it's gonna keep getting more and more relevant and more elaborate. Elaborate. Elab Take two. I can't say that word. Y'all understood what I'm trying to say.
Elaborate.
Thank you. It
The struggle was real on that one.
really was.
Hey everybody, so today we're gonna be talking about a very great episode of Monday Night Raw.
Yes, absolutely. It kicked off really well and it never really let up. Before we even get into that, did you see the news that Rusev has officially re-signed with WWE today?
I did not, but did that news come out today?
Yes, it did.
Okay,
It came out on PW Insider today.
I just want to
It
make
was
sure
not an April Fool's
because
joke.
that was yesterday, and I just wanted to be sure. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so the reason that's crazy is because this man is a talent.
Oh, 100%.
Now imagine, right? Because when he first left, he wasn't getting booked the greatest, and then in
What do you
eight,
mean Rusev Day was super over?
I didn't say it wasn't over. I said it wasn't booked right. There was a
Okay.
lot of things that they did with him that were like okay, but never anything like pushing this guy to the moon. You know what I mean? I think at
Yeah,
first when he first debuted, they did, and then after
he
that
had
he
a
fizzled out, and then he
he had
became
a
a
1 year
yeah.
he had a 1 year undefeated streak when he first got there, and then they screwed it up by having him lose to John Cena three straight times starting at WrestleMania.
All right, calm down. Here we go.
Well,
We're
that's
not.
a perfect segue into the first segment. We could talk about Rusev and talk about John Cena's promo.
All right, let's just do it.
All right, so Raw actually kicked off really well. For the third week in a row, John Cena kicks off the show, and he gets his mic, and before he could even start, Kingdom hits. Cody Rhodes comes out to the ring.
Disrespectful.
It was not
Disrespectful. It's
disrespectful
disrespectful. He needs to wait his turn. He like, why are you interrupting the goat?
because John Cena for 2 weeks has talked to everybody but Cody Rhodes.
And he
So
doesn't need to.
now,
He doesn't need to
yeah,
address Cody Rhodes.
he absolutely needs to address Cody Rhodes.
He did address him, but he didn't need to. Who's Cody Rhodes? Nobody.
He's the WWE Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Champion.
Not for long.
First of all, you don't even believe that. That was my take.
I do believe it. I think it's a
Okay.
great take. You said it, and I think it's going to happen. We agreed on that. That wasn't just a you spur of the moment. My thing is, I think it should happen. It makes the most sense. You solidified it by saying yes, he should drop the title to Cena because he does better chasing it. I agreed with that take. However, the only reason the doubter in me is because are we really going to pull the trigger on him passing Flair? That's it. Other than
Yes.
that, it makes the most sense. I like it. It should happen. So I
I,
agree
it,
with the take.
it's definitely gonna. We're definitely gonna pull the trigger, especially since Ric Flair said he's going to be in attendance for
Well,
WrestleMania.
okay, and right before he said he was going to be in attendance, he said they should do it.
Yeah, I mean it's a moment.
It's a
It could be a
moment, but
huge moment.
also he said Cena deserves it
Mm.
for everything he's done for the business.
Yep, Cena is the only guy who I think could have carried WWE through maybe I don't want to say their darkest time, but their most irrelevant time.
Yep.
Like he came in during after the Attitude Era and ushered in the Ruthless Aggression Era, and I say this all the time, '09 to 2011, 2012. WWE was probably some of the worst creative times that you've ever had in that company, and Cena still carried that business into what it was. So he's probably the only guy who could do that. All respect in the world to the businessman and the character he has always portrayed. Anyways, let's get back to the show. So Cena comes out, Roman. Cody cuts him off. Cody gets into the ring, and basically he does his best B Rabbit uh,
Impression.
impression. Like he's like, before you even say anything, John, I'm gonna say everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yes,
roast
I have a lisp.
myself. Yeah.
I'm gonna roast myself. Yes, I have a lisp. Yes, I I have an arm tattoo that's on my neck. Yes, I have all. Yes, I started an entire wrestling company and got booed in that company, which was a great line. Um, and then he just starts talking about how Cena, how this Cena isn't that he's a piece of shit and everything that else. And then they have a back and forth for a little while, and we'll touch on some of the things. But essentially, Cena Cena won this battle. Cena, and not just for the specific lines, but Cena won this battle because he went. Not only was he making points, but he went super villain with his points and his delivery.
Yes, he did.
Like he was over the top with his evil hatred, talking about how Cody Rhodes is a carbon copy of him,
A
um,
chauffeur.
a chauffeur that he's only being good enough to drive Cena around. You're cosplaying with that championship. You're a 16-year-old who just, and the same thing I said about Penta last week about going into a box of gimmicks and taking everything. Cena basically said that to Cody. You take
Yeah.
a little bit from every single person because you're too uncomfortable with who you
Hmm.
are. And he roasted him. So back and forth. What was your favorite line of this entire thing? Because
It
I know what
had
mine is.
the berry
Okay.
when he
Cena
said
talking about his
he's
burials.
yeah he when he said he was like, I'm gonna bury you. He's like, because everyone all these years loved to say that I bury superstars. He's like, I don't bury stars, I bury mediocrity.
hmm Basically calling Cody a mediocre champion at the time.
Yep.
Uh, saying, I'm going to take that title off you. I'm going to retire as a real world champion, and then you can get another toy. No, my favorite line was, I build empires for billionaires, and you just steal money from their kids.
That, because it was a reference
Bro,
to.
it was reference to Tony Khan and how Cody basically started a wrestling company, and Tony Khan paid him, and then he walked away when things got too tough.
Yep.
And just like that line, I don't didn't matter what Cody said after that. It was over. Yes, he can end it with, never once did they say to me,
And
the
that
fans
was, and
said to
not
me,
to mention, that was a
you
reversal.
can't wrestle.
That,
Yeah.
no, no, that was a reversal because remember, Cody tried to bring up Vince without saying the
Yes.
name. So
Yes. He
for me personally, I think that was one of John's reversals on the fly.
I believe it. I believe that. I mean, Cody opened that door with the AEW talk when he basically said they booed me in a company that I created, right?
Hmm.
So as soon as that happens, Cena's like, oh, okay, that's on the table. We can talk about this. I'm good.
That's how I
All
took
right.
it. Yep.
Yeah. No, but Cody's line to Cena, you call me a corporate champion and a corporate creation. The people who created me are these fans, not one man in an office who's no longer here anymore that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that was Cody's line. That was the one thing I was just like, okay, yeah. And you could see John's face. He
Hi-
sold it so well
yes. His face looked
because
very uncomfortable.
he, on a personal perspective, he doesn't agree with some of the things Vince did. But he has come out and said, and same thing with Undertaker, same thing with a lot of these guys.
Yep.
They have come out and said they still view Vince as a father figure, that
Yeah.
they still love Vince McMahon for what they did for them. So Cena's always going to be fighting that dichotomy of, I want to be the good guy. I want to talk great about you. I want to talk. I don't want to talk great about this guy, but he also is the reason I am who I am today.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a great segment. And then yeah, so Cena about to take a powder, he's about to leave. He bids him adieu, and then he does the heel thing, jumps back into the ring, tries to clothesline Cody Rhodes. Cody catches him with a crossroads, and takes Cena's hat and throws it on top of him. So basically, and this was Cena's last advertised appearance before Mania. He may show up at the go home before Mania as a surprise, but this was his last advertised appearance for Mania. So if you believe in quote unquote go home math, or the person who stands over
Yep.
and the last segment doesn't always win.
Mm-hmm.
This looks really bad for Cody going to Mania because you got the one up on Cena.
Yep. That's exactly what I. As soon as I saw it, I said, "Oh, Cena definitely 100% wins this match now because he got laid out."
Absolutely. How many times in your professional wrestling watching career
I can't
have
remember.
you seen Cena not be the guy standing over somebody?
I can't remember.
This has happened a few times.
No, I'm saying like I can't. I literally can't remember a time where he was. There's been times where he got laid out, but I can't remember a time where he got laid out and then didn't win. Is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
If he gets laid out, he comes back with the get back.
Mm-hmm. We spoke about this. We think he's gonna win through shenanigans and cheating and whatever else to get to at Mania, but that's the great story. Like you're gonna win 17 in front of Ric Flair to break his record in front of the dirtiest player in the game, and you're gonna cheat to win. Like this is gonna be like that's gonna be the story, and it's gonna take Cody probably till SummerSlam to get it back. So because we got to get that John Cena babyface run to end his career. That's
Hundred
gonna happen.
percent, 100%.
Yeah.
You can't
So
end him as a heel.
no, this isn't a Hogan. This is why I don't think the moment of Cena turning was huge, but the impactfulness of Cena turning isn't going to be the same as Hogan turning, right? Because he's not going to have the longevity as a heel, and he's not going to have the same type of impact on the business that did in '96. But it's still, we're going to enjoy this for the next I don't know 10 months of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened, and then we leave, and then the first match of the night, we have the 14 time, I think it's 14 time,
I think so.
uh, tag team champion, the New Days, and I love them as heels. I love their new music. I love their new attire. I love their attitude. I love everything. They
Mm-hmm.
just haven't done anything with
I agree.
them. So the last 2 weeks, last week, if you remember, they went to Adam Pierce, and Kofi was like, "We deserve a match at WrestleMania."
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned this to you. I don't remember if it was on air or off air. If John Cena
Mm-hmm.
can just literally say, "I'm going into the Elimination Chamber" without earning it,
Mm-hmm.
why can't the 14-time tag team champions just go out and say, "I need a tag title match at WrestleMania"?
I agree. There's no reason. And again, what is the job of Adam Pierce and the other one? What's
They-
their job? It's to build the
They're
best card.
build the best card and put the best show possible for the fans.
They're the most
In
decorated
kayfabe,
tag team. No,
in
in
kayfabe.
kayfabe, in kayfabe, they're the most decorated team. So you would want them on the card. If you're gonna
Yes.
put a tag team title on the line, you want them to be at least a part of it.
Yes. So that was the argument. So Adam Pierce, we get back from break, and New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are standing in the ring, and Adam Pierce comes and interrupts them as they're trying to cut a heel promo. And he said, "Y'all want to be on WrestleMania? You have to win a match." He doesn't say you have to beat the tag champions. He goes, "You have to win a match."
Yep.
So he puts them in a match against one of Europe's favorite tag teams, Pete
Hmm.
Dunne and the returning Tyler Bate, New Catch Republic.
I must say that's one of the first matches I've ever seen Bate in.
That's what I was going to ask you because I'm a huge Tyler Bate fan, and I was going to ask, are you familiar with Tyler Bate's work?
Not at all, and I liked what I saw.
He's a super fun wrestler.
Yeah.
So Tyler Bate was the inaugural NXT UK champion. He beat Pete Dunne for that title.
Okay.
He's the guy who he lost it to Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne lost it to Gunther, and then they were on NXT for a while as not as New Catch Republic, as the Mustache Mountain, because that's when they also had Trent Seven. It was the three of them,
Copy.
and they were and they were basically British strong style on NXT, and then they came up together to SmackDown as New
And
Catch
Bates has
Republic.
been injured for a while, right? This is
He's been
his.
injured. I think he tore his ACL last
Okay.
year. Yeah. So super fun match. They did a lot of really good things. Tyler Bates is a super fun wrestler. I love his tilt, fireman carry, tilt a whirl, his thing. He's a super fun wrestler. Essentially, New Day get the win with Midnight Hour and I think it's midnight hour, that jumping stomp slash backbreaker thing that they
Yeah.
do. The midnight hour, New Day gets the win, which is great because uh, they're starting to rebuild and put a new emphasis on the tag division on both
I
shows.
was gonna say
If
that
you,
because
yeah,
both
if
shows started off the night with a tag match. Uh,
mhm,
both with, I would argue, some of your premier tag teams.
mhm,
Tonight was the New Day, and then SmackDown was Street Profits.
yes,
So
yes,
they're, that's how you want to start building your tag division. You want to start using your heavy hitters. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And like I love the War Raiders. I've loved the War Raiders ever since they were War Machine and Ring of Honor. And they're such a throwback tag team. They remind me of Legion of Doom, Demolition, guys of the '80s and the '90s. And the New Day and them can have some really great matches. They just need to really pull the trigger on truly making New Day heels. They started off super strong, and then it's just floundered week after week after week to the point where people really didn't care. They weren't getting on TV. We're on Netflix. They were getting on the commercial breaks for the international crowd. And so you know WWE has done a good job with that, though, that they've been taking those commercial breaks and then putting it on their social media. But like they need to be on the standard Netflix for American wrestling fans to see what they're doing, right? So they get the win. Hopefully we're gonna get New Day and War Raiders at Mania. If not at Mania, hopefully at the Raw after Mania, because that could be a main event match,
Mm-hmm.
on the Raw after Mania. Um, but this was a really fun match. What do you think of it?
Um, I agree with your sentiment. I want to see the New Day do more. Because they're both very talented. I think
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Woods is underrated as hell. I've always
Yes.
wanted to see him get more of a spotlight, but he always felt like that third wheel to Big E and Kofi. So I'm glad that not glad that Big E's out of the picture, but glad what they're doing in terms of now it's a twosome and now they can figure him out a little more. Kofi is always great. He always puts on banger matches. I want to see that team do more, and I agree. They need to be more heels. They need to do really messed up things. Start
Mm-hmm.
attacking people backstage. Start sabotaging people's matches. Do more with them. And again, if you put emphasis on them, if you use them correctly, they can definitely help you build that tag division back up because as we've said in past shows and we've said off air, there right now the tag division is an afterthought. And
Yep.
what I like is that the last couple of weeks they've been starting off the show and putting extra emphasis on the tag teams, and they just need to keep doing that.
Absolutely. All right.
And
So
and,
we get
and I got introduced to a new tag team that I never knew existed, so that was cool.
New catch rollers. They were on SmackDown before Tyler Bate got hurt. By the way,
Who knew?
all right. So we get out of that, and we get into this is my segment of the entire show. We have a great match later on, but this is my segment of the entire show. Jimmy and Gunther. We've been saying for weeks they need to do something with this feud.
Yep.
You need to motivate Jey Uso to somehow, some way hate Gunther more than he does. So when he goes into his match, he's got blind rage, and he can up his aggression to match Gunther's aggression, right?
Yep.
Last week I said, and I was half joking, but last week I said they need to duct tape Jey Uso to a pole and and do something to make him watch his brother get obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
they have a
you essentially you didn't say necessarily cut open, but you
no.
said you need to see the welts and you need to see him bleed from his chest.
My idea was tying up Jimmy Uso in the ropes
Yep.
while Jay was watching and just continuously chop
Yep.
him until his chest, what the welts and the bleeding from the broken blood vessels in his
So
chest.
we got some of that. Somebody got tied
Yeah,
up and somebody
yeah,
ended up bleeding. So
yeah.
realistically, Paul Levesque, thank you for watching. I appreciate I appreciate
So
the viewer count.
yeah, 100%. So Gunther and Jimmy have a really great match. Jimmy had his spots. Like I'm not like they. It almost felt like Gunther went into this match not really paying respect to Jimmy, and he took him lightly.
Yeah, he didn't expect
And
much at
then
all.
no, and then Jimmy gets the super kick, gets the splash, gets a false finish on the splash. That was the end of it. After the false finish on the splash, Gunther gets up, power bombs him outside the ring. They go to commercial. They come back. Jimmy gets no more offense. What I really liked was in the body of the match. Gunther had multiple chances to finish the match,
Yeah, and he kept
but
just, he was like, nah.
he kept dragging him up.
Yep.
He could have finished him with a power bomb. No, after two, he picked Jimmy's head up. Jimmy didn't kick out. He hits him with a clothesline. Same thing. Hits him with a big boot. Eventually, puts him into a sleeper hold. Again, I
Mm-hmm.
love the fact that Gunther doesn't have one finishing move. He can finish you in multiple ways.
Yep.
But he puts him in a sleeper hold. And he gets the win. Jimmy passes out. And so I was watching this with your cousin live. And while he had the sleeper hold in, and I don't know if you noticed this, somebody in production messed up because while he had the sleeper hold in the first time, on the Tron, they played Jay Uso's theme.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, they messed up. So Jay's coming to make the save.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes back out. He lets him go. Gunther starts to leave. Puts the chokehold back on, and referees are trying to get him off. Can't get him off. That's when Jay comes out to save his brother. We go to commercial. He Gunther runs away through the crowd. Everybody thinks he's gone.
Yep.
Cut back from commercial break.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Jay and Jimmy were on screen and back from commercial break, I'm like, oh, we're getting more.
Yep.
Gunther looking like a giant wildebeest just runs out of nowhere, hits him with a double clothesline.
Yep.
Goes for a power bomb on Jey Uso on the ring steps. Referees and security stops him. He power bombs a security guard, an independent pro wrestler. He kicks another one in the chest, and then he goes right back to Jay. Throws Jay against the ring steps, and I don't know where he got them from. It looked like he took the
Off the
zip ties
security.
off the security guard. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he came with, and he zip ties Jay. He zip ties Jay, and he zip ties him to the middle rope.
As soon as that happened, I was like, God damn you, Derek.
I watch too much wrestling. If I can call this in advance. I watch too much wrestling. So he zip ties him to the ropes. Jimmy, being the older brother, sees what's happening, tries to get back into the ring. Gunther blasts him with the title belt. He's outside the ring. Next time he's trying to get in, and Gunther starts like playing around with Jay. He's like, touch it, touch it. Jay's trying to get to him, can't get to him. Jimmy tries to get back in the ring, and you can see the blood leaking out of his head. Gunther grabs Jimmy and just immediately starts elbowing him. They're called 12 to 6 elbows because of the clock. 12 to 6 elbows to his, and then puts him in a chokehold. The visual of Gunther in Jimmy's blood, while Jay is powerless to help his brother, was exactly what this needed.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Gunther takes Jimmy's blood and puts his finger in his mouth, which was disgusting and amazing. Like I was like, oh, this is great. But this, in what we said, if they needed to build this segment now, because we have 3 weeks to Mania, we have two more Raws. They needed to do something to really make people care about this feud because this feud has felt lackluster. They hit it. They hit it out the park.
So what I like about it is, number one, the last 3 weeks are now throwaways.
Yep.
What I like is that everybody and their mother online in the online community was complaining about this feud and how there's no build. And now everybody's just like, "Oh my god, that was so amazing." You understand, like, the
Mm-hmm.
just how everything can just flip in a week.
Mm-hmm.
One show, one match, one moment. That's all it takes. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about wrestling, and that's what I love about things happening now. It's like, yeah, you can sit here, you can guess, and in a lot of instances you're going to get it right. But it's also a matter of, it's still surprising. We talked about it last week and we were still surprised. You talked about what you think should happen. It happened and we're still in awe.
Because if
Where
you do it right, if you can predict things as long as it's still entertaining.
mhm.
Like if they went out and did exactly what I said and it fell flat, they would be bad. It would be horrendous.
Yep.
But they hit it out the park. They did. That was my segment of the night. Like you, as long I don't mind wrestling not surprising me.
Mhm.
Sometimes you want the surprises. Sometimes you want the return. Sometimes you want the surprises. Sometimes you want the shock value. But when you're, and this is why this company has always been the best company, and it will always be the best company in the world. The other company is for something else. This when you're telling succinct stories
Yeah.
in professional wrestling, I will always argue it is the greatest entertainment medium in the world.
Mhm.
There's a reason why professional wrestling has been on television since the dawn of television, going back to the 50s. It was always been on TV and will always be on TV because it's entertaining, and if you're telling the stories right, the characters are captivating and the stories are captivating.
Nice. Spoken like a true wrestling fanatic.
So it's everybody who always asks me, "You're 38 years old. Why do you still watch professional wrestling?" Even my father, he goes, "Why do you still watch wrestling?" Because if it's done right, the stories are great
Yeah.
and it's entertaining as shit.
And again, for people who don't watch wrestling, now is the time. Now is a great time to just jump in.
Wrestling's cool again.
Yep.
Right? So we get out of that, and then we have later. It's not. It wasn't on the show. They had a digital exclusive interview where Gunther's walking in the backstage, cutting a promo in covered in Jimmy's blood, yelling at Jay. It's just amazing. If you haven't seen it, go
I
watch
have
that.
not. I gotta watch it.
Go watch that. It was amazing. And in one segment, and then we've talked about this too. Gunther's been champion since he beat Damien last year. So I want to say it was. I don't remember what pay per view it was. It doesn't matter. But Gunther's title reign has felt flat
Yep.
since he beat Damien. In one segment, you immediately care about him again and you hate him again.
Yep.
That's how you build a heel. All
All
right. So
that,
then
but he's about to lose it. So it's at the very
I
tail
know.
end. It's at the tail end of his reign that he's gonna lose it.
Hey. Under Paul Levesque, we get some interesting things. Remember, we all thought Cody was going to win at 39, right? He lost at 39. He won at 40.
True.
Maybe we don't get a Jey Uso win this year.
Maybe.
like, like maybe we continue the story of him having to fight to win that title because it would suck for him to watch that happen to his brother and not get the revenge of winning that title.
Mhm.
But the long term story of him trying to continue to get that title, it could be really interesting. Then again, he'd be 0-4 against Gunther, and I don't think they wanted him to lose again.
No.
All right, so we get out of that, and we get Penta and Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. Fun match, short match. It was only 7 minutes. And I understand why this match was. They're still trying to motivate the Fatal Four Way at Mania, and the end of this match really motivated the Fatal Four Way. Um, I'm happy Finn got a win, bro. Like,
He needs one.
you know, the last time he got a singles pinfall in WWE was in September of 2023.
Wow.
He's a former Universal, first ever Universal Heavyweight Champion.
They don't respect him whatsoever
He
at
hasn't
all.
won. He hasn't won a singles match in almost 2 years.
But again, and where did it happen? Overseas.
Yeah, I mean he got so the end of this match. It's a fun match. Like I said, 7 minutes short. They get all their stuff in. End of this match comes by Braun going for the spear. He misses. I think Dom gets out of the way. He hits Penta with the spear. Dom gets a tag to Finn. Finn hits the coup de grace onto Penta, and we get the 3 count. Also, Penta's first pinfall loss in WWE.
Yeah. But it came in a
So
tag match, so it's not bad.
it came in a tag match, so it's not bad. But Finn gets his gets the pinfall win over the Intercontinental Champion. So he has motivation to go next week to be like, hey, I pinned the Intercontinental Champion. I want my Intercontinental Championship match. I'm sorry, no, he didn't pin the Intercontinental Champion. He
No,
pinned
he pinned
Penta.
Penta.
He pinned Braun. He pinned Penta, not Braun. Okay.
I took what you were saying as he won over Braun,
Over. Yes.
but
Yeah.
yes, he won over Braun, but he pinned Penta. Yes,
Yeah, but he's still gonna say I deserve an Intercontinental Championship match.
100%.
Which is gonna continue the whole him and Dominic fighting because we're gonna get that fatal four way at Mania, and I
Well,
still
that's
think
another thing that you had called out a few weeks ago.
yeah,
You said, "What if we get a fatal four way?" And I was just like, "Oh, that would be cool." Blah 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 blah. Not thinking much of it, and now we're about to get that fatal four way.
and Dominic Mysterio should walk out with the Intercontinental Championship at Mania.
I wouldn't be mad at it, to be honest. And
He
then
need,
and then I think that solidifies the breakup as well.
yeah, like I said, I think we said this on air with you. He needs to pin Finn to win it.
Yep.
Like you pinned Finn Balor, have Dom pin Finn to win the Intercontinental Championship, and then that solidifies the breakup of the Judgment Day, and he's essentially making Finn the babyface again. So I don't know what you do with Penta and Braun after that,
They'll
but
figure
that should
something
be
out for those two.
but
They'll figure something out. You know what? You'd probably do with Braun. If Jay's the champion, you have Braun now set his sights on that because he's already tested, battle
and he's
tested
already
against
beaten
Jay.
Jay.
That's what I
Yeah,
mean. He's beaten him a number of times now. He's like, okay, I'm gonna come take this one off of you.
yeah. That'll be cool. I think Braun's a future WrestleMania main eventer. So I think the same thing about Dom Mysterio. I think he's gonna be one of these years when he goes babyface again. He's a little main event Mania. I think he's so good. So we get that, and then we get a segment that I'm pretty sure the internet wrestling community does not care about. We all love AJ Styles. We all hate Logan Paul. Logan Paul does not have good heat. He has bad heat. He has. Why are you in my company, Heat? Please go away. Please get hit by a truck.
So let me
Heat.
let me be clear. I think in ring ability that guy is undeniable.
I agree.
He's amazing, and the fact that he hasn't been doing it that long and he's that athletic and the things that the shows that he's been able to put on with other wrestlers, like it's amazing. But just
I
as
agree.
a person,
Oh yeah, 100%.
as
I
a
hate. I hate.
person, and more specifically as a Puerto Rican,
He's not Puerto Rican.
I am.
He just lives in Puerto Rico.
I said me as a
Oh,
Puerto Rican
okay.
cannot stand him. Jesus Christ, no one's calling him Puerto
I
Rican.
thought.
That
I
would
thought.
be that's literally the opposite of what I would be saying. It
Yeah.
angers me that he lives in Puerto Rico.
He lives in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Yes.
So my point is, as a Puerto Rican, it pisses me off every time I see him on screen. Every time I
He's
see him on screen, every time he opens his mouth, every time he's talking, I'm just like, and the thing is that he's not acting. He's not giving you a role. That's who he
this is
is.
him.
That's how
This is
he
him.
talks. That's how he feels about himself.
Hmm.
There are moments where I've watched and like he'll come off a little bit humble, but then he goes right back to jackass. And that's who he is.
He plays a character in every facet of his life, and I think that's why you think that. I when he's on impulsive, when he used to do YouTube, when he was
He's still doing
him and
YouTube.
Jake Paul. I know, but what I'm saying, I'm talking about when he used to do like YouTube videos and not like an actual podcast
Yeah,
sitting
yeah,
down
yeah.
with his friends. Um, him and his brother just they play characters. You don't know who the real Logan Paul is, so all we have is this character that we see for the last 10 years on our computer screens, on our phones, on and everything. So we hate him,
Yep.
right? This is the guy who can't go back to Japan, like because of what he did, like right. So he's the guy who fought Floyd Mayweather and stole a bunch of money from people, like like he's just a character and he knows how to get heat in wrestling. So yes, he's a good heel, but I think that spot can go to somebody else who can do what he's doing. Like I just don't like him as a person.
Exactly. I hate him as a person, but I don't mind watching him in the ring. My only
Yes.
thing with this is watching that segment. watching him get over on AJ. Not for nothing, but it's been a while since AJ got some actual respect. He's another Finn Balor. He has,
And he's a two-time world champion.
and he's a two-time world champion. He's not gotten the respect that he needs, and we're not gonna have him that much longer because he keeps talking about retirement.
At 50, he's 47. Yeah.
Yeah. So my point is he needs to get this win over Paul. Plus, Paul needs a L. If I'm not
Actually,
mistaken,
I don't think he. So
go ahead.
Logan Paul has been getting nothing but L's.
He needs a real L, and he needs it from AJ. And no,
Okay.
most times that he's been getting L's, it's been in matches that it's multiple people. It's not just him.
He lost to Roman
Nobody
at
counts
Saudi
that.
Arabia.
Nobody counts that because everybody was losing to Roman.
He
Continue.
lost to Seth Rollins last year at Mania.
Okay, one L.
No, not last year. I'm sorry, it was the year before because Seth Rollins didn't face him last year. Seth Rollins faced McIntyre.
One
It was
L.
a year before. He lost in Elimination Chamber last year.
That don't count because that's multiple people.
Jeez. In those last like 5 matches, he's like 1-4.
Okay, he needs a singles L by this person
Did
right
he
here
beat Ray
named
on
AJ.
Raw a couple weeks ago?
I'm pretty sure he did, but I could have sworn he cheated.
All right. While we do that, I'm gonna look up Logan Paul's cage match stats. Yeah. So I don't think the only problem I see with AJ winning is because of his age. You don't. I can see
Because
the
of his
40s
age, you said?
his age because what you just said was we're not gonna have AJ Styles for that much longer, right?
Yeah.
If you're continuously putting the young guy down, no one's gonna care. So I can see AJ Styles being the vet and saying, "My legacy is secure regardless. I'm AJ Styles. I'm the end. I was an NWA World Champion. I'm a TNA World Champion. I'm a New Japan World Champion. I'm a WWE World Champion. Doesn't matter if I lose. I can see him as a vet saying, I'm gonna put the young kid over."
I don't care what he wants, and I'm not saying that's not what he would say. What I'm saying is that for me as a fan, I need AJ to come out on top in this feud that came out of nowhere, and I don't get the point of it. But I'm supposed to care about it, and so therefore I'm going with AJ needs to win.
Okay. All right, so these are Logan Paul's last few matches because you're talking about his L. We're gonna go back to July of last year.
Okay.
He defeated Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in
Okay.
a triple threat match.
That's a pretty big one.
That's when he was United States champion.
What I say? That's a pretty big one.
Okay, he lost to Cody Rhodes.
Wait, are these just pay-per-views?
No, these are
All his
and
matches.
normal matches. All
Okay.
his matches.
Okay.
So he lost to Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia
Okay.
for the WWE Championship. He lost to Logan Paul in a triple threat Money in the Bank qualifying match.
Who lost?
Logan Paul did.
Logan. You said
What I say?
You said he lost to Logan Paul.
My bad. He lost to LA Knight. He lost to LA Knight in a triple threat Money in the Bank qualifying match. It was LA Knight, Logan Paul, and Santos Escobar.
Okay.
He lost to LA Knight in a singles match in March of last year.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. This is cage match, so it's backwards. This is August of last year. August 3rd of last year.
Okay.
Lost that, and that's when he lost his title. Then the Royal Rumble, obviously. He did beat Rey Mysterio, and that's how he got into the Elimination Chamber. He beat Rey Mysterio in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match, and then he lost the Elimination Chamber match. So he's got one win in his last one. If we're gonna count Royal Rumble, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches. He's 1-4 in his last 5 matches.
Okay, but you know what I'm gonna argue?
Wow.
I'm gonna use your logic because you love to say this to me. He's one of those superstars that it doesn't matter how many times he loses; it just doesn't matter. So if he loses this, who cares? AJ, however, needs a win. He's been pull up his. I bet you he's been getting beat by everybody and their mother.
Well, that's because a lot of his matches are going to be against Cody Rhodes from last year. I think he lost twice. AJ Styles. Why is it not finding? There it is. AJ Styles matches.
Just give me the stat. Count it up.
Matches. Hold on. It's loading. he's got a big page. It takes a second. His takes a second to load, bro. All right. No, that's not how you do this. Match guide.
But yeah, while you do that, this segment was okay. It was probably one of the lulls of the night.
We're
Um,
talking about just WWE, right? Because he wrestled some in Japan
yeah, just
recently.
just WWE.
Okay.
What happens outside of the business doesn't count.
All right. Why the fuck is it not? I'm sorry.
But
Keep talking.
yeah, so
Keep talking.
nobody cares about that segment. Um, Logan Paul ends up getting the end beat down on AJ Styles and leaves him on the floor. Um,
All right, I got it pulled up.
okay, this is
All
all
right,
I
so we're
care
gonna go
about.
back. We're
Hmm.
gonna go back to July 25th of last year. This is 15 matches.
Okay,
Cody Rhodes defeats AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Is that a, oh, that was a house show. We're not doing house shows, right?
nope.
You want to just do regular matches? Okay, so then October 4th of last year. This is when he got hurt. When he came back and immediately got hurt, he lost to Carmelo Hayes. He came back in the Royal Rumble. He defeated Dominic Mysterio in February of this year. He lost to Gunther, and then he lost to Gunther. But before that, he had lost to Cody Rhodes two times for the Universal Championship, and then he lost his feud with LA Knight twice. So
So we got two losers
because
going up against each other.
there's a lot of house shows on here. I gotta
I
sift
got
through.
you. That's fine. But my point still stands. He keeps losing, and he needs a victory.
AJ Styles is one of those great wrestlers of all time. It doesn't matter if he
Oh
wins or
my
loses.
God! Here we
No,
go.
he definitely needs a win. I want to see AJ back in. I don't know if you're gonna put him in the world title scene, but he needs to be in that upper mid card scene. Like LA Knight is is the United States champion right now, and I feel like I think it was you who said you forgot he had the title last
Yeah, it
week.
was it was definitely me.
Yeah, but I don't want to see LA Knight versus AJ Styles again, right?
Yeah.
So, but we need to be doing something more with that championship. Maybe Jacob Fatu can win it at WrestleMania, and we get an AJ Styles Jacob Fatu match. Going into
You think he's ready for a title?
Jacob.
Yeah.
I think Jacob walked in ready. I think Jacob came in aura on 1,000. He could have walked in and challenged for Cody Rhodes for the world title night one, and I would have been okay with
Wow.
it. That's how much I love Jacob Fatu. I think he's going to be the two things coming out of the Bloodline saga needed to be they needed to push Jey Uso to a main event
Hmm.
spot. They did, and they needed to create Jacob Fatu in this company to eventually be a main eventer, and that he's on the road to being that. Yeah, I think he's gonna walk out with that title at Mania once they make it official. Like, we're gonna get LA Knight, Braun Strowman, and Jacob Fatu
Okay.
at Mania. I think he walks out with that title. All right. So segments was all right. We were talking about Logan Paul. And he got the one up on AJ Styles, hitting a beautiful, I don't even know what to call it. They called it the pulverizer on the
Yeah.
show,
Ugh.
but it was like a gut wrench. It was almost like a gut wrench power bomb, and then he flipped them into a DDT.
Hmm.
Like, it was a beautiful finishing move. Thank God they're getting away from his titanium right
I
hand.
hate that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, you're not a good boxer. I don't ever want to see you knocking people out. You're not the Big Show. At least when the Big Show did, it made sense. He's 500 pounds.
Facts.
All right, and then I'm just going through the Bleacher Report reviews. I know we're missing a lot of backstage segments. We got a Lyra Valkyria backstage segment
Yep.
where she wants to challenge Bailey. She wants to, because Bailey's the only one to pin her going into, I think it was going into Elimination Chamber qualifying match.
Hmm.
That Bailey pinned her since she had won the title, the Intercontinental Championship. She's the only one. So Lyra wants to prove herself by defeating Bailey. That match is going to happen next week. Um,
And what's your
yeah,
prediction on that?
Lyra wins a great match. I think they should give those two women the main event. And just I don't like Lyra's gimmick. Like I said, she doesn't really do much for me as far as a gimmick. But when the bell rings, she's a very very good wrestler.
Yeah,
And
she could use the win over somebody like Bailey. It'll
yeah,
definitely
Bailey's
do a little more to propel her up.
and Bailey's one of those women where not only will it not hurt Bailey to lose,
Agreed.
but Bailey is, regardless of who she's in the ring with, she's just solid every match. I don't think I've ever seen a poor Bailey match or a bad Bailey match. She elevates everyone she's in there with. She's very underrated as a wrestler, and I say that as her accolades are crazy, but she's so underrated as a wrestler because I don't think people put her on the level of the other three horsewomen, and I think she should be there. So we also got a Chad Gable segment backstage with Adam Pierce. He still has a doctor's note. He's still walking around with the tissues. So next week they're in Minnesota, Chad Gable's hometown.
Hmm.
He was asking to get a match next week in his hometown, and Adam Pierce does the hilarious thing and
Hmm.
said, "No, no, no, we're gonna give you another week to rest. We're gonna give a match to our everybody's newest favorite luchador, El Grande Americano." So,
Which
and Chad's
pissed
like
off Gable. Yeah.
pissed off Gable because obviously Gable is Grande Americano, but he wants to be Chad Gable in front of his friends and family and not have to be under a mask.
Hmm.
So this is just gold. I can't. This is so good. I can't. Gable is
You love it so
Grande
much.
Americano for champion. I love this. This is so good because Gable is doing such great work. And next week,
it's definitely entertaining.
it's 100%.
But it's more
He's gonna
like
come
I'm
in.
telling you, the more he does it, it just reminds me of Kurt.
Yes, it reminds me of remember when Kurt lost. I don't know if you were watching when he lost the hair versus hair match against Edge, and he came out with the
The
toupee
toupee, yeah.
with the amateur wrestling headgear on top of it. It was like Kurt was so good, man. Oh god, I still think he needs a stable of fake Mexicans. But anyways, but I can't wait to see who they put him up against next week. Um, so we get that, and then we got our main event segment. We get our Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky with Bianca Belair as the special guest referee. Before we even get into the match, Bianca looked like $1,000,000. I don't know if she went into the lab this week and hit some extra crunches, but those abs were popping. Like her abs were Jade Cargill levels of. She just looked great. She looked amazing. Um, so this match was not as good as their first match. Not as good when Io won their world championship, won the world championship from Rhea, but it was not supposed to be a great match. This match was supposed to move the story forward, and so that way we can motivate Rhea getting into this triple threat match. And they did it. I said it last week. They did it in a way where Rhea didn't win the championship, but she has claim to still getting into that match because
She left them both
Bianca
on the floor.
she left them both laying, but Bianca really played up. She did a great job refereeing for most of the match. But when it came down to winning time and at the end, Bianca really played on the fact that I don't know how to referee. She was in the wrong places at multiple times. She got accidentally kicked by Rhea. She got accidentally drop kicked by Io. And an experienced referee would know where to stand in the ring without those things happening to
Hmm.
them, right? So,
So now you get to
uh,
make the argument that yeah, I did get my championship rematch, however, with an inexperienced referee, and she's the reason what caused my match.
and not only that, after the first big boot that Rhea hits on Bianca, so towards the end of the match, the three women are kind of like jockeying for position, and Bianca for some reason is standing behind Io. Io's between Bianca and Rhea. Rhea goes for a big boot. Io gets out of the way. Bianca eats the big boot. Rhea immediately hits a riptide on Io, and she had her down for what seemed like a 12 count. So
They said
Rhea,
20, but yeah.
yeah, I know, but the crowd, I think the crowd chanted to 12. Um, but which is going to be Rhea's argument. It's going to be the Kevin Owens argument when he was fighting with Cody Rhodes. I had Io beat if not for Bianca. So that's going to be her argument for the thing. Bianca eventually gets in the ring. Io kicks out at 2.5. And then Rhea's yelling at her. So Rhea turns around, starts beating Io. So she's beating Io down. Io's crawling to the ropes, and Bianca counts to five. So gets the 5 count. Instead of disqualifying Rhea, Bianca uses her strength to throw Rhea off of Io. Rhea immediately takes a swipe and slaps Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. Io gets on the top rope. Io goes for a drop kick. Rhea moves. Io drop kicks Bianca out of the ring. Rhea hits her with a headbutt. Rhea goes to set up for a riptide. While she's going to set up for a riptide again, Bianca calls off the match, and does a double DQ because of all of the times she has been hit. Even though you can make the argument
It's
that
her
she
fault.
was hit because she was out of position, and none of those times were actually intentional, except for when Rhea slapped her.
Yep.
That was the one time that it was an intentional.
And that's my thing. If you were gonna disqualify, you should have disqualified it at that point once you got slapped.
Yes.
That was the time to
Uh,
do it.
yeah. So we get the brawl. Rhea gets pissed off because the WDQ means Io Sky still the women's champion. Rhea does not get to go to Mania. Rhea goes outside. Her and Bianca start hockey fighting, and then you get Io Sky coming out of nowhere with the moonsault off the top rope. They get back into the ring. By the way, can you hear that?
A little bit.
Okay. God. So you get back into the ring, and Rhea's pissed. Rhea is pissed. She just starts laying out Bianca, and Io hits Io with
Demolishes
a
them.
riptide, hits Io with a riptide, hits Bianca with a riptide. Uh, crowd, she's about to leave. Crowd chants one more time, one more time. She takes Bianca, and it didn't look as impactful on Bianca because Bianca's such a big woman that it almost looked like she was cradling Bianca when she had her up on the second rope. But she hits Bianca with a super riptide off the second rope, and then she goes over to Bianca, says something to her in her ear, pulls up Io's head, Io's lifeless body. She says something to Io. You can't really hear what she's saying because the crowd was so loud, and then she grabs the title and stands over to both of them. Now, she did something that she's losing her mind because
Yeah.
when she grabbed that title, she kind of bites it. She
Mm-hmm.
kind of puts it in her mouth and clutches it like this is mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go off the air. And then they did do a backstage segment where they interview her and she doesn't say anything. She's just laughing maniacally because she's losing her mind.
Which is great.
And
And that's a
yeah,
version of Rhea you want to see.
I've always said, and I understand why she turned babyface because the Liv Dom thing turned her babyface. But I have always said this version of Rhea versus Bianca is she'd be the ultimate heel because she just looks like such an imposing presence, and Bianca is such a John Cena of the women's division, such a great baby face that the two of them could have a true, real feud. And this is really the first time that the two of them are crossing paths on the main roster. Like they kind of kept them separate for years, and now you get the two heads colliding, and then you have Io stuck in the middle. They're doing such great work right now. This segment was amazing, and I can't wait for Mania. Like these women are gonna. I hate that they're not main eventing.
I knew that was coming.
I hate that they're not main eventing because I understand why Punk, Roman, and Rollins are main eventing, but I hate that this is not main eventing. Like
And then
Bianca won Elimination Chamber.
mm-hmm.
Like she's Rhea, I don't even know how many times the two of them have been champion at this point.
and
They
then
are superstars.
now this is another year that neither of the Royal Rumble winners are main eventing either.
Hmm. They've taken that away. They've taken the Royal Rumble winner automatically getting the main event spot. Now you're just guaranteed a title match.
So the only thing I'm okay with that. My only issue is there's certain times where even Cole has said it in the past weeks that they're going to the main event at WrestleMania. If that's the case, don't say it.
Yeah,
Just don't say it. It's okay if it just gets you a title shot, but don't announce it for weeks on end. And then realistically, the other stories get built up to a point where now you have to make those the main event. Just don't do it because now you're setting yourself up.
I think that's just a verbal tick he has over being there for years,
I agree.
where where it's always been that way, right? At least going back to WrestleMania, I think the first one they did it was WrestleMania 9, or the Royal Rumble going into WrestleMania 9, where the Royal Rumble winner got the main event of WrestleMania. I think that was the first one they started doing that, and it's always been that way, and it's always a Vince thing, right? So Michael Cole's always guaranteed shot at WrestleMania, a main event at WrestleMania, but it hasn't been that way. I think the last one to win the Rumble and main event WrestleMania, well, it was Cody.
I was just gonna
But
say
before
Cody,
that,
right? Yeah.
Cody, yeah. Before that, it was Drew McIntyre in 20, and that was in front of that was in front of no fans. So it's become a thing where you get a guaranteed title shot, but you're not the main event anymore.
Overall, great show. I thought it propelled a lot of the storyline. I enjoyed it. The opening segment, again, it was opening segment. The first few matches were really good. You ended the show really well. It's I want to say the only thing was the Paul AJ thing that kind of took me down a bit on how hype I was during that show. Everything else, satisfied, beyond satisfied in a lot of cases. Like it was a really good show. And
I agree.
I just wish they would put the same effort into SmackDown. Because remember,
SmackDown this week was better.
it was better, but it's still not where Raw is, and it
So I
can
think
be. There's a lot of people that aren't even being utilized on the SmackDown roster.
I agree. SmackDown, for some reason, since they went to 3 hours, just hasn't felt like the same show. It feels like they're just spinning their wheels, and I don't know if it's because the SmackDown roster is actually smaller than the Raw roster, so you don't have as much like going on at all times. But this is why you need to really elevate that tag division and really show more people. Like you can have Los Garza in a tag match against um, Pretty Deadly, just to throw a team out there. Like they had a really Pretty
Yeah,
Deadly had a really good match last week against Street Profits, right? But you have five teams on SmackDown who are really good. You have Los Garza, you have Pretty Deadly, you have the Street Profits, you have Motor City Machine Guns,
I just
and
wanna I just wanna point out that that's exactly the take that I gave you last week, and you almost gave me a hard time about it. I said
the
SmackDown.
problem.
I said you don't have as much as SmackDown, so SmackDown can be the show where you emphasize the tag division.
No, I think the problem is if you're talking about SmackDown just emphasizing the tag
I didn't
division,
say
then
just. I
yeah,
didn't say
no,
just.
but then you're having the Raw show not emphasize it as much, right? If you're going to do that, I've always been a fan of, and I the problem was when the Usos were the unified tag team champions. They were so wrapped up with the Bloodline story that no one else was actually getting title matches, right?
Hmm.
If you're going to go that route, I'm okay with having one unified tag team champion across both
I don't
brands.
think you
You
need
show,
that. I don't think you need that.
I don't think you need it, but you can have them show up on both shows, and then on one pay per view
I
you
don't like
defend
that.
against one side.
We just separated them again.
But I understand. But my point is, if you have it that way, now you had your tag teams on each show wrestling each other to get almost like a ranking system to see who's going to be the number one
You
contenders
don't
for
need
the
to.
next pay per view.
You don't need to do all that. You got 5 hours of television, bro, between those two shows. You got five
6 right now.
hours, 6
6
right
right now.
now. But I'm saying you have 5 overall. All I'm saying is that on SmackDown, you build up the stories a little bit with the tag division, and on Raw, you can still have the tag. You can still have them battle it out for the tag champion. I'm just saying, story wise, you can build more on SmackDown. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying to diminish the Raw titles. I'm just saying you can do more story wise on SmackDown because you don't have a lot else going on.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Well, they might.
unify things. I think that would
I've
be,
always
for
been.
me personally, I think that would be the wrong route. Especially
I've
when
always
there's
liked unified champions, if done correctly. Even when they had one unified world champion, not Roman beforehand years ago. I've always liked the one unified world champion, and if you're gonna do it that way, you keep the brands truly separate. And then I know we're going down a tangent, and
my
then you do separate pay per views for each show, and then you do
I'm not a
that
big
now.
fan of that. I
I
understand the argument for it, but at the same time, then it's like, all right, so like let's say Cody's our one champion, right, and he's going back and forth as he's
Mhm.
feuding with one. Then essentially, and he's solely focused on him and Cena. Then when he goes back to the other show, what's he doing? If he's even there, because when they were doing that kind of stuff, they would sometimes just skip the other show altogether.
that was a
And
Brock Lesnar thing.
I'm just saying, so the point is that then you have a bunch of people on a show not doing nothing because the title's on the other side. I don't me personally I just don't like it. I like
I
that
like
each show has its own champions and there's enough to go around where enough people can eat and everybody can be chasing something. My only issue is that you got a bunch of superstars that are sitting in the back and catering, not doing nothing, and you're using the same players for all these titles. Right now, we're doing great in the sense of there's a lot of people getting more highlights under the Levesque regime, and I like that. My only thing is that we need to do more for the tag, which again they've started to do in the last 2 shows. Realistically, in the last 2 shows, more or less, is when they're picking up steam for the tag division. I'm just saying
yeah.
we need to get further down the road. We're just moving at a snail's pace.
Okay. I mean, we're 3 more SmackDowns before Mania and 2 more Raws before Mania. So they have an opportunity. And I like my problem with Mania is going to be that every match seems like it's going to be a multi man match, or every tag title match is, at least if they're going to put SmackDown on the show, it looks like they're going to be a multi team tag title match. It's not going to be an individual tag title match. So it's just it's a lot, and I understand you want to get as many wrestlers on the card as possible, but by doing so, like to your point, you're not really creating rivalries and feuds.
Mm-hmm.
You're just having not New Day, Street Profits, who are, sometimes they're heel, sometimes they're babyface. They're kind of tweeners, just kind of feuding with everybody, right? As opposed to the last time the tag division felt like something special was New Day versus the Usos, and those teams had a Hell in a Cell match, which is one of the great Hell in a Cell matches of all time. Those teams had a 2 out of 3 falls match. That was a true rivalry because you had two of the greatest tag teams in the history of WWE who both came up generally at the same time, the same era. Kofi might have gotten there a couple years before the Usos did, but you have these guys who grew up in the business together, all trying to be the best team in the world, and their feud was competition,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their feud was to compete with each other. They didn't hate each other, but but they always wanted to be like, who's the greatest tag team in the history of WWE,
Mm-hmm.
which is being a little disrespectful for some previous tag teams because I'll argue it's probably the Dudley Boys, but I know you'll probably say that are the Hardy Boys. I think it's the Dudleys,
No,
but
I actually don't. I haven't formulated my opinion. I would say the only reason I would say the Hardys is just because that's nostalgia, but I could admit
mm,
that. For me, it's I don't know. I'd have to think about that to be honest,
okay,
Because for me, I'm going just if I had to make a take right now, I would go New Day just because of how many times they've held the title.
Okay, I mean, I don't.
They
I'd have
use
to
fr-
look up how many
they
times
use
The
Freebird.
Dudleys
They use the
rules. Yeah,
Freebird rules, and that's why there's so many. But
I'd have to look up how many times the Dudleys were tag champions in WWE because I know they're like something crazy. It's like I mean across all promotions, I think it's like 18 or 19 championship reigns. I'd have to look up how many times they were tag champions in WWE. It's probably 5 or 6. It's probably not that many, but I just thought their team dynamic was they were the foundational pieces that you needed for that feud when everybody else was going crazy jumping around off of
agreed,
things.
they were
You
the ones
needed
that
the
kind of
heavies.
brought it back down to earth.
Yeah, you needed the heavies.
Yeah.
While Edge and Christian and the Hardys were going nuts.
Well, that's what you need the
Overall,
War Raiders for.
yeah,
They're playing that
absolutely.
role now because they're the ones. They're not doing high fly. I mean, they
They
do
can,
fly a bit. Yeah.
especially what's his Ibar? I was
Yeah.
gonna call him Hanson because that's his name in Ring of Honor. Ibar is a high flyer of them. Overall, what's your takeaway for Raw, and what are you looking forward to next week on Raw?
Great show. I'm looking forward to be honest, more. Why am I forgetting their name right now? Why am I
New Day,
forgetting? No, not New Day.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day. There you go. Jeez, I was struggling. I actually want to see more Judgment Day stuff. I loved because we skipped over it. The segment
The
where,
backstage.
yeah, the backstage where essentially Liv is doing more of that pitting them against each other stuff. Where she was like, "Did you
She's
notice?"
a Yoko. Oh no,
Here we go. Where she was
she's
just like,
Yoko.
"Did you notice that Finn kept saying me me me? I won that match, and he didn't
Mm-hmm.
say you guys won it together." Like, I love what's happening right now, and I can't wait to see because they keep on just taking it another level of like, when are they gonna break up? When are they gonna? What's gonna happen? Da da da
Yeah,
da. And I really can't wait to see that because then I'm also excited for when the breakup happens because at that point you have Dominic, who's going to be the leader, and I can't wait to see what they do with him. And then you have Finn Balor, who's now a singles competitor. What are you going to do with him? I can easily see him feuding with Dom,
yeah,
and I think that would be great. But am I right about that? Where are we going with that? That's my whole thing. Like, I'm just really excited for that part of the storytelling. Um, because next week on Raw, Cena's not going to be there. If Cena was going to be there, that would be my. I need to see what he's going to say, but I don't think he's going to be there. To your point, I don't think he's not announced for that Raw.
yeah. I think Cena doesn't. He's not announced for anything up until Mania, but I think he's gonna show up on the Raw before Mania. He has to show up on the go home. Like he
Okay.
needs to do something. Um,
But what about
because
you? What are you excited about?
um, I agree with you on the Judgment Day stuff. I think
Gunther?
Lyra, Lyra,
Oh, really?
Lyra and Bailey. I think that match is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that match. I don't like the character, but I respect the in ring ability. I think that match is going to be great, and I want to see Gunther come out next week. And I don't want to see physicality with Jey Uso next week. I want to see Gunther come out and just cut a vicious heel promo because we're going to have one more week of Jay Raw before Mania, not next week, but the following week. That needs to be the big brawl between Jay and Gunther. I think that the big pull apart between the two of them. Um,
Unless they do it two
just
weeks in a row.
yeah, just to just put some doubt in people's minds of who is going to win. At neither one of them should get the upper hand over the other one unless you're really going to just give it to Jay and then on the final week, the final Monday before Raw, you just have Gunther obliterate Jay. That's the only thing you can do on the final Monday before Raw, not next week, but the following week, because Jay is so over. He should win at Mania, but I'm starting to get more and more doubts of whether or not they're going to pull that trigger.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't made my decision on that one yet.
I mean, realistically, I think before Mania, we should do a show anyway.
We'll
Where
do a
we're,
prediction.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We should do our predictions, put it up on TikTok or something.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be like a quick 15-minute video or whatever. I will put it up. Yeah. Um, so that was Raw. Thank you guys all for watching. Uh, Again, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, share, and hit the notify bell. So and comment so we can get the back and forth, we can get the engagement. Help us continue to grow the channel. Uh, Roman's been doing a great job with our TikTok. We're getting some new followers, some new subscribers. We're getting over 200, 300 hits on our videos right now, which is really good growth for a brand new channel. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please subscribe, please follow and comment. It really does help grow the channel. I know a lot of people are just like, we're not gonna do this. It's not worth my time. For us, it is really worth your time to do it because we're trying to push our feed to more people. Want to really grow the community. Like Roman has been saying, wrestling is getting cool again, and it is a great time to join in and join in the conversation. It's just a fun
I think you hit everything that I normally hit. So,
medium. All right.
but we appreciate you guys always, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.